い透明。
Original series director Kenji Misumi returns for one final film in Lone Wolf and Cub, Baby Cart in the Land of Demons. This fifth installment once again portrays an episodic series of events in which Itto Ogami, played by the legendary Tomisaburo Wakayama, and his infant son Daiguru are hired for their life on the road to commit an assassination, all the while being pursued by the evil Yagyu clan. And this is the same Yagyu clan that schemed to have Ogami cut loose as a Ronin way back in the first film, Sword of Vengeance. So far I like all the films in this series, but I still like the second one the most. Mainly I think that's because the action and characters and just the story were so good in that film. The first one I feel like tried to be both an origin story and a sequel at the same time, and it didn't really mesh together that well. Baby Cart to Hades actually really surprised me, just with how different that film is. That one actually feels the most like a Zatoichi film. The fourth film I actually really liked a lot, and that leaves us with this film, Baby Cart in the Land of Demons. So, is it good? Well, it's almost impossible to say that without spoiling it, especially the ending of the film. That's something I need to talk about with this film. Usually I try to avoid spoilers just so that anyone can listen, but I feel like this film is a little different. Even if I feel like a film is bad, and that's not the case here, but someone else might enjoy it and I don't really like to ruin it for them. The ending though to this film features just such an insane event, and I think it's impossible just to discuss this film without at least mentioning it. So just keep an eye out for a spoiler warning. I'll be sure to tell you before I spoil anything. So aside from that, I'll say that Baby Cart in the Land of Demons features what is perhaps the series' best use of Ogami's signature fighting style. We first saw it in the first film, and it requires about a waist deep of water. And when it's done in this film, it just looks incredible. I just love the way they film it. Once again, Ogami is on the road, and he travels across feudal Japan with infant son Daiguru. He also has the elaborate wooden baby cart of death. It might as well be its own character at this point. This baby cart is just packed to the brim with so many weapons. I'd love to get myself one of these. The film itself begins with the Karada clan, and they're trying to hire Ogami's services as an assassin. Each vassal challenges Ogami, and if he defeats them, they give him a clue. And for some reason, each of them is like on their dying last breath when Ogami defeats them, and they'll explain who they need to have killed next, and the secrets and reasons behind it. Basically, when he defeats each vassal, it gives you more to the story, which I think is pretty unique. The vassals' willingness to drill their lives away for the clan definitely goes back to the emphasis on Bushido and just the mysterious motivations that spring out of that philosophy. It was heavily explored in the previous film Baby Cart to Hades, and that was also a film directed by Misumi. Honestly, I found the plot in this film a bit confusing, and I had to rewatch this film a few times just to get it. That could just be my bad attention span, so let me know in the comments if you found this story confusing, because I definitely did. The gist of the story is that the Karada clan are being led by their former lord's male heir. Except in actuality, they're pretending the lord's daughter is the male heir. And if that information gets out, it will be the end of the clan. They want Ogami to kill an abbot who was entrusted with that very information, but has turned out to have ties to the villainous Yagyu clan. And here's where I'm going to give you the spoiler warning. I feel like by this point, if you've watched 4 films in the series and you're thinking about watching this one, I'm just going to say at least finish the series just to see what you think of it. Otherwise, I'm just going to say it is another solid entry in this series. Not as good though as the other 4. So Ogami eventually learns of the actual situation. The daughter masquerading as a prince is in fact the former lord's mistress's daughter, and the prince is being held prisoner. Having acquired the letter that the abbot was carrying to the Yagyu, Ogami insists on an audience with the prince so that he can hand it over. But that's actually just an excuse just to get close to the lord, his mistress, and the phony prince. What happens next is probably the bloodiest battle in this entire series. The battle happens with more of the Karada, one which leaves a former lord, his lover, and his daughter as the only survivors. And then Ogami fulfills his second contract of the film, and he kills all 3 of them. Ogami straight up murders a young child and a woman. I actually had to rewind this just to make sure what I saw was correct. And yeah, he kills a kid, and the movie just goes on from there. It's insane. So if you have any problems watching violence against kids, I'm just going to give you a warning about this scene. Luckily, it's real quick. It's just a beheading. No one really suffers. And I gotta say, even though I don't really like this kind of stuff, I do admire this series because it goes where most films would never go to. And even though I don't really approve of this scene, I do admire this film and this series just for going to places where most films won't. Like, this series does stuff like this a few times. In the previous film, we had topless warrior woman. This time, we have a kid get killed. It's kind of hard to imagine most protagonists recovering from such an act, so it's probably just a testament to just how unique Itto Ogami is. And I'm still not really sure how much it really matters. I mean, we did see him kill a child in the first film, and it happened like in the first 5 minutes. And that was just to show his loyalty as an executioner of the Lord. The counter argument would be that Lone Wolf and Cub is trying to say something about the value of life in Shogun era Japan, or that just the kind of man Ogami really is. Or maybe he's just become this way. After losing his official role as executioner, losing his wife, and just becoming an assassin for hire on the road. This moment is hardly allowed time to breathe before the film ends. There's no real contemplation of Ogami feeling bad for having killed a child, and what's kind of messed up is the kid was the same age as Daigoro. I've heard some people complain that the series has no real investment in showing the relationship of Ogami and his son Daigoro, and I could totally get that. I mean, they don't really show them hugging or anything. I feel like if you're viewing this from a Western point of view, you might think that. The thing is, though, is Ogami is a stoic samurai. He's not going to be acting all gooey and gaga with his son. He wants to see his son grow up to be strong and able to survive in this violent world. I also feel like Wakayama's portrayal of this character is just perfect. Just the expressions that he makes and even the way he walks. He really defines his character. You can immediately just tell how strong he is. You could tell that his soul has been crushed and now he walks in the afterlife fighting demons in hell. Many times throughout the series, Ogami has told his son that they are on the demon road to hell. And actually, some scenes look otherworldly, as if they really are in hell. Is the willingness to kill a child the end result of that philosophy? Is it the descent into depravity? But Ogami is a character that will kill anyone if he has to. Even women and children aren't safe. That's who his character is, and that's what's unique about him. Despite that though, somehow I at least still find him likable, and I think that's just the genius of Wakayama's acting. It also says a lot about his character just looking at how he interacts with his son. At one point, Daiguru goes on his own and he wanders through a festival, and then he gets caught up in a bit of a strange story involving a pickpocketer. Eventually, we watch him get whipped the shit out of. And it's because he refuses to give up the identity of the pickpocketer. During this punishment, his father Ogami watches him and he's just silent in the crowd. Should we assume he's proud of his son for keeping his word? We can also take away that Ogami will not intervene to protect his son from punishment itself. He doesn't punish him for running away, nor does he do that for getting into trouble. And frequently, he puts his son into more and more danger throughout the series. Most films in the Lone Wolf and Cub series feature just some kind of signature opponent. In this film, we get the Karate Clan's masked soldiers, and they look pretty cool. A lot of this film and its messaging has to do with blaming the code of honor. It's why the vassals throw away their lives. It's why Daiguru will not reveal the pickpocket. It's why Ogami will murder a child to fulfill his contract. It creates a set of characters which at times are unrelatable, almost alien behavior. In the end, I'll say that this is another solid entry. I don't think it's as good as the 4th film, but I did like this film. I like the video game story setup. It was very unique. Ogami just having to overcome the different assassin trials, and when he defeats them, he gets another clue to the story. And it's almost as if the audience is getting that clue too. My only real problem with this film is just some parts of the story were very confusing for me, and just the fact that I had to rewatch this film 3 times to get it. But again, that could just be me. You know, everyone's different. I also kind of felt that the Daiguru part kind of strayed from the main storyline. I mean, it told us more about him as a character, but sort of just didn't really feel like it belonged there. Also, the ending scene and just the character choice to kill the child was confusing and risky. Maybe it went too far, I don't know. So anyway, I only have one more film in this series to go. I look forward to doing that and finally seeing this entire series. If you like my content, please be sure to subscribe. Don't forget to join my Patreon if you want to help this channel out. And like always, thanks for watching.